Hi guys, this is Chris from Team DBZ Biscuit. I'm new, and this is my deck. It is the King of the Skull Servants. To start, we have King of the Skull Servants. He is a question mark, which means his attack and defense are... Well, his attack is based off of the number of Skull Servants in the graveyard, as well as other King of the Skull Servants. So we have 3 of him just because he is big and beefy, especially late game or early game, depending on how quickly I can get a lot of Skull Servants in my grave. We followed up with 3 White Mares. White Mare says, if you discard him, you can you can special summon a King of the Skull Servant from the graveyard or from your deck. Oh no, it's special summon one of your removed from play King of the Skull Servants or Lady in White. That's really helpful if somebody wants to banish all of your cards, and if they banish your stuff, you know, discarding him, he does exactly that. He brings it out of removed from play onto the field, and makes it bigger. He counts as a Skull Servant, that's why he's in there. Also at 3. The Lady in White. One of the more important members of this Skull Servant family. She is a 3-star, 2200 defense monster. Says other 1-star or less, 3-star or less zombie type monsters cannot be affected by the effects of spells and traps, which is really useful in preventing like non-targeting spells or even targeting spells and traps from going off. She's also a Skull Servant in the graveyard, so when she's in the graveyard, she counts towards the Skull Servant, that's why you run 3, so that's another 1500 attack power. We follow it up with 3 White Princesses. What she does is when you have her in your hand, you can discard her, and she will minus attack based off of the monster's rank. So they lose 300 attack per level or rank. So it's really useful. So if somebody's attacking you with really big monsters, it's kind of like an honest of sorts, but in a negative way. It reduces the amount of damage you're going to be taking, and it also gives you the chance to be like, oh, my King of the Skull Servants is a lot bigger. And it's another Skull Servant in the graveyard, so it definitely does add to the, that's another 1500 attack power. This is another very important member of the Skull Servant family. White Prince, you can send him, he's pretty much discard bait, or sent to the graveyard bait. When you send him to the graveyard, you can send a Lady in White and a Skull Servant to your graveyard, and so that's 1500 points from one monster, because he's in the graveyard and he quick sends the other ones. You run 3 of him as well because he's another Skull Servant, and that's another 1500. Finally, on the Skull Servant side, we have 3 regular Skull Servants. They are just that, Skull Servants, and they're pretty much poop. But it's another 1500 in the graveyard. Personally, I play 2 Card Troopers. It's a very good mill engine. It's a 1900 monster on your turn, and it helps you mill out your deck to get all of your Skull Servants in the graveyard, and it helps produce power quickly. I run 1 Curry Bandit. It's the same thing, except I get to add a spell or trap card to my hand. Usually I go into like Book of Life or Dragon's Mirror, and I'll get into that in a little bit. I run 2 Raikou the Lightsworn Hunter. They're Flip Destroy. Oh, pushed the wrong way. They are Flip Destroy and mill 3 cards. It's really good if you have nothing else in your hand and you want to just pop something on their field, as long as they're not like destroying all of your stuff. So they attack this, you just destroy their thing and mill 3 cards for it. That helps feed your King of the Skull Servants. Now, important, I run 3 Mizukis. 3 of them because when Skull Servant dies, yes, you can banish a Skull Servant or another King of the Skull Servant to special it from the graveyard, but you want to keep as many Skull Servants in your graveyard as you can. So remove him, special a King of the Skull Servant from the graveyard. Simple. Makes it really big and beefy. And then I run 2 Plague Spreaders because you get some tuners and some high-level zombie monsters that you want to bring out. That's one of the ways to do it. Onto my spells. So for spells, obviously because this is a zombie deck, Book of Life. It gives you 1 zombie monster, usually King of the Skull Servants, maybe Zombie Master, which I forgot about that, I'm sorry. I run 2 Zombie Masters. It's a quick way, say you open up with Skull Servant in your hand and nothing else that's really useful, and you have a King of the Skull Servant in the graveyard. You pitch the regular Skull Servant with the Zombie Master, and you special out the King with his effect. So that's why I run 2 of them, just in case I need to get them out of the graveyard. Back to my spells. So we saw the Book of Life. It helps bring the zombie out of my graveyard, and it helps get rid of something in your graveyard, in an opponent's graveyard. It's something that I enjoy, making sure that it can't come back, you know? I run Dragon's Mirror. What it does is it allows me to fusion summon 1 dragon type monster from my extra deck. The 1 zombie type monster that I run with it, or 1 dragon type monster I run with it, is Dragon Nether Soul. He's a really big beef monster, I guess I would call it. He beats things in the face. Your monster's not destroyed, it becomes 0, and I get a token of your monster with the same attack power. And then it opens it up for another attack. And all it costs is 2 zombies, which is perfect for this deck because it's King of the Skull Servants. I run 3 Galaxy Cyclones. They're pretty much destroy back row stuff. It's not MST, but it gives me the opportunity to MST it, get rid of something on your field from my graveyard. If I mill it out with like Raikou or something, then it sits in my graveyard for a turn during my main phase. I can pop something on your field. It has to be face up, but if it's something that I want to get rid of and it's face up on the field, I can do it. Burial from a Different Dimension. This is for if you use Whitemare or White Prince. White Prince's secondary ability, aside from being a Skull Servant, is you can remove it and 2 other Skull Servants and special summon a King of the Skull Servants from your deck. This will help put those Skull Servants back into your graveyard, so that way you get the triggers and off of his attack. 3 Allure of Darkness. That's just the draw engine of my deck. It helps me draw cards up to my hand that I need. Pitch a dark monster or mill the whole deck. Sometimes if you draw really shitty, that's the good way to go. And then finally, for spells, I run Foolish Burial. That's a quick way to send a zombie monster to my graveyard. So if for some reason I can't get anything to my hand, or I'm not doing very well Skull Servants in grave, I'm gonna send White Prince, so that way I can get 3 Skull Servants, because that's 3k. It's not 500 per, it's 3k per. I'm sorry, I made that mistake. So it would be 1,000 per each Skull Servant. Moving on to traps. I run 3 Needlebug Nests. Again, it's just for mill engine. Send 5 cards to the graveyard. It's really good to open your empty your deck into the graveyard. The more Skull Servants you get there, the stronger your King of the Skull Servants. And then for protection, I run a Mirror Force and a Quaking Mirror Force. Quaking Mirror Force is useful because when you attack me, your monsters are going to go face down and they can't change their battle position. And regular Mirror Force, it just destroys all your attack position monsters. Moving on to my extra deck. You already saw the Dragon Soul Nether, the Draco Nether Soul, Dragon Necro Nether Soul Dragon. Once again, its purpose is to be really big and beefy and make copies of your monsters to be really big and beefy. With the new Link format out, I'm running 2 Link spiders, so I can bring out a few more Link monsters if I need to. And I haven't used it yet, but I will soon. I'm running a bunch of 1-star XYZ monsters. We have Utopia 39. Number 39, Utopia Roots. He's pretty good at defending. More so, like, I don't want to die this turn. I got plans next turn. I'm gonna negate your attacks. Slacker Magician. She's pretty good for not being destroyed and negating. She's pretty much just a negate engine. So, you know, take it, blow up, negate something that's gonna destroy something on my field. You know, give me a little bit of protection. Baby Tyragon is one of my favorite of all of my XYZs. It makes it so my monsters can attack one of my monsters can attack directly. And if you have a 15,000 attack power King of the Skull Servants, having it attack directly is the best thing in the game. So the embodiment of punishment and pain, the embodiment of crime and embodiment of punishment. They're only in this because they're 1-star XYZs for now, and they do things together. You can't be destroyed by battle or by card effects, and your opponents take on any damage dealt to that card. So say I have both of these on the field and you attack me, instead of my card being destroyed and me taking the damage, you're gonna take the damage. Now we move on to my synchros. We're gonna start off with Mistbard Klaus Lass. It's a 2300 defense monster. It's good at negating effects and making your monsters have 0. So once again, it's one of those, I'm gonna hit you with something really big, I want you to have 0 attack power to stop it. Revived King Hadass. He's pretty much my zombie monster, one of my main zombie monsters. He makes it so my zombies, like if your monster has an effect that goes off when it's destroyed by battle, it's negated. And then Archfiend Zombie Skull. He makes it so my monsters can't be affected by card effects. And last but not least, Beals of the Diabolic Dragons. He is a really big beat stick. You make him and he can't be destroyed. And he doesn't, and any damage that, like difference in damage that you take increases his attack power. So he becomes really big if you take a good amount of damage. And the not being destroyed thing makes a really good card. But thank you very much. This has been my deck, and I'm glad to have been able to show you.